Good morning. Today is Sunday, June 5th, and I just thought I'd kind of give an update. We got some of these weeds taken care of yesterday. You can see there's not much in here, just a little bit of oregano, a little bit of thyme. The chives are somewhere over there, but I'm probably going to replant those. But just kind of looking at things, I've had to replace a couple of these tomato plants. I started putting collars on these, but it didn't work super great. I do have a dust on them, but this one ended up getting chewed all the way down. I think it was I think it's called leaf cutter caterpillar moth. So that one had to be replaced, and this one had to be replaced. And it looks a little spindly and long and weird right now, but I think it'll do fine. It's just that planting hole is a little further away, and of course the plant that was here was much bigger and bushier. So unfortunately, it's just kind of the way it is. Got to deal with pests sometimes. I'm starting to think that I'm going to have to replant some of these beans, because so far that's still the only bean that has come up. But I'm going to give it a few more days, and then I'll probably soak some of the beans. Just kind of pre-soak them to help them sprout. But I've gotten, I think, let me see, 2, 3, 5, 6 cucumbers so far, which isn't bad, because I think I only have, I want to say there's 12, so it's not great, but it's not terrible. Again, beans and cucumbers are pretty easy to grow in general, so they can be replanted decently late and still get a good harvest. All the peppers are doing really good. I have a couple that have little small peppers on them. This guy's got like a decent sized little pepper. And again, is that a banana pepper or the Corno de Toro? I don't know. Looks like we have a mole coming back, which is super unfortunate. We already had to trap one. I cut off some of the tops of the onions, the longer tops, and I'll have to come back through again, obviously, because you don't want them to fall over, which, yeah, the mole kind of made this one fall over. Don't know if it's even savable. It barely has any roots on it, so it might not be. But I just stuck it back in the ground just to hope. All these plants are doing really good. They don't seem to have leaf cutters over here, so I assume it's probably because, you know, it would just happen to be eggs in the soil over there. Okay, I got nervous because this ground looks a little disturbed, but I think it's okay. I don't see any big mounds or anything, so I don't know if moles like to go through and eat potatoes or if they just eat grubs. I'm not sure, but we do have voles too that like to use their tunnels, so I do have to worry about those for sure. You can see that most of the yard has been cleaned up. It's hard to get to. Our gas weed whacker for some reason won't start, so we had an electric one, but that wouldn't reach all the way around, so I'm kind of stuck there. But Jake was able to reach all the way to that tree before one of our extension cords pooped out. Gabby got this cleaned out, you know, left the sage and the bee's balm and this little bundle of most likely daisies. Not really sure 100%, but that's what it looks like. I mean, every time I've ever grown daisies, those are something that they just don't quit. The other bee's balm, and yes, well, it does look like there's some she might have gotten of this. I think it's called zebra grass, and maybe some of it will come back. That doesn't look like it, but we'll see. I don't know. And everything did get fertilized yesterday as well with the liquid fertilizer, so everything's hopefully doing good. Unfortunately, it rained, so who knows how much of it got washed away. I put all of these under the table just to protect them from the rain. But what I plan on doing today is just starting some more chives. I'd never started my basil, so I'm going to do that. I might plant the basil directly into the garden, but we'll see. Because I also don't like having seedlings that I can't tell what it is, so I don't dare pull anything. So I don't know, because I'm already struggling sort of with that. And then this is just a mix of annuals. I think it actually has both. Yeah, it says annuals and perennials. So I didn't get to these. I thought I just would see what we get out of them. And these, basically just more wildflowers, but these are all perennials. That's like the stuff I planted last year, where the daisies came out of. And that little tiny skinny bundle right there. Well, it's not. Anyways, yeah, so we'll see what we get out of it. But I just got a little bit of cocoa coir with just a teeny bit of container mix in here. I'm going to mix in some more container mix with this and start some of the seeds, because the reason why I'm going to start them, I want to start them individually so I can tell what I'm getting eventually. So I'm not just planting them in a huge mass like I did last year. So I'm going to get some cups ready. Okay, so I probably put about 4 decent sized scoops of container mix in here. When I started the vegetable seeds, I used a lot more cocoa coir, just a little bit of potting mix, just so there was a little bit of organic material in there. But unfortunately, that did lead to some fungus and mold problems. So next year, I'll probably do straight cocoa coir again. But out here, I'm not worried about it because they're going to be in the sun. I'm going to leave them outside, and they should do just fine. Okay, I'm just going to wet this down a little bit, so I didn't realize it wasn't on spray anymore when I was filling up my fertilizer. Because it's a lot easier to pre-moisten it than to try to water it all once you have your seeds in the cups in place. You can do it that way, but I would recommend then watering from the bottom. But I'm just going to pre-moisten it here. That way I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I got all the water mixed in. See, it's not like dripping or anything like that, so it's just damp. So I'm going to start filling some of these cups, and I'll get something to mark them once I decide what's going in what. I just wanted to show, I am reusing these cups. These were from the tomatoes and peppers and everything else. But they're just simple plastic cups with holes drilled in the bottom. So I just stacked like 6 or whatever and drilled the holes down through them. And these are the first year for these ones, but they'll probably get used again next year as long as they stay good. Okay, so I'm gonna plant in these first 6 cups. I'm gonna plant this basil, and it says to surface plant them, so I guess I'm gonna just kind of drop 2 in each cup. All right, I will be right back. So they're all coated, so I'm kind of a little worried. I did grow them last year, but I don't think I got a lot of germination. And maybe I did lightly cover them last year, but I'm not going to because I'm going to count that as a light covering because I think they need light to germinate. So I'm going to put chives in these next cups, and I'll be right back. Okay, for the chives, I'm putting 3 in each cup. If they weren't coated, I'd probably put more. But these need to go down to 1/4 inch, so I'm going to push them into the soil. I just like that, and then just kind of cover them over. And it's starting to sprinkle again. It rained last night. As you can tell, everything's kind of wet. And I think it's supposed to rain on and off for the next several days, so these seedlings, or these seeds, are going to go under this table as well so that they're protected and they don't get washed out. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm just going to use these markers and put them in the first of their 6 cups. I guess I'll face it inwards. And that way I'll remember. And then these should be moist enough to go right directly under the table. So I'm going to make some room and put them down there. Alright, it's kind of hard to plant these because it's just a mix and I have no idea what's what. So I've already planted the perennials, which look very similar, in these 6. And then I'm going to plant this mix, which is a mix of annuals and perennials. It's a butterfly pollinators mix. I just want to focus. Okay. Dude. Whatever reason, it just wants to focus on the table down there. So I will be back when I get some of these planted. It was really hard to control how many went into these perennial cups. So all I can do is just try to keep it down. I just want to keep it down to like 2 or 3 plants per cup so I can figure out what's what and separate them a little easier at the end. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, it ended up being more like 3 or 4 seeds per cup because it was hard to see and it's hard to separate them. And it's also kind of hard to know what's a seed and what's just the whole of a seed. Because some of them, again, I didn't have that buried. Because some of them just look like empty holes, but maybe that's what their seed looks like. Okay. And then I've got a paint marker that I'm just going to put a P on the ones that have perennials in them, and I'll be back. Alright, they are marked and they will go down there too. I don't know what we'll get this year, and perennials take a long time to grow, so those may not do a whole lot. I imagine the first to pop out of the ground probably will be annuals. But I'm going to try to put these kind of out of room. These are only down here temporarily just because of the amount of rain that is expected over the next 4 days. And I just don't want to drown them. Okay, now I have this planter box on my deck, and I don't know what this, it's got some weeds growing in it, but it also has some cilantro growing back. I don't know, that's a weed probably. So what I plan on doing is putting more cilantro in there and some dill. So what we're working with, again, it's, you know, it's the first time I ever bought from this company, but they seem to be really nice. I've had really good germination with them. So it's just a sustainable seed company. And I'm going to plant that. And these dill. These are all their seeds. I think all their seeds are heirlooms. And these are all coated. Some of them, yeah, I didn't really want coated, like the lavender and the rosemary, but sometimes you just got to put them on a napkin in a baggie and let the seed coating kind of, that could have been a cilantro, I don't know, seed coating come up. Anyways, so I'm going to get some seeds out. Okay, I'm going to plant the cilantro first, and you can see the little grooves in there because it definitely looks like the coriander that it comes from. I'm not a huge fan of cilantro, but I do plan on doing salsa this year, so I definitely want some. I don't know if we even used it. I think we might have used it once last year, but it grew really well in this little container. So they have to go, these need to be planted a 1/4 of an inch deep, so I'm just gonna probably put them on this side. We don't need a lot of them because they actually are pretty prolific and they turn into quite a large plant. And then I'll do that side in dill, which also don't really need lots. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the cilantro in. I'm getting ready to put in the dill. If you see some of the little green leftovers, that was from the rosemary that didn't germinate at all. That's because it needed to be stratified. So after I stratified it, I got at least one to germinate. It's over in a cup under the table right now. You can see these seeds are just as big, really. They must have a thick coating on them. But I'm just going to do the same, 1/4 inch down. And I'll have to get some water over here for them. Because this, believe it or not, is pretty dry. I think it's because it's under this overhang here. So we're all good. So I'm going to get those watered in and maybe sprinkle a little fertilizer on top of it, or maybe I'll just water it in with some liquid fertilizer. And then we'll be good. Alright, thank you for watching this super duper eventful video, but I'll see you next time. God bless.